Marty McSorley, the enforcer who took it too far. For most of his career, Marty McSorley wasn't just an enforcer. He was Wayne Gretzky's enforcer. When the Great One skated, McSorley was never far behind. He guarded Gretzky like a Secret Service agent with fists, first in Edmonton, then in Los Angeles. He followed Gretzky to California to protect the crown jewel of hockey. And he did his job well, dropping the gloves with anyone who dared touch number 99. He became beloved in LA, the Protector, the Punisher. Fans respected him, opponents feared him. He wasn't just some goon. He could skate, move the puck, and rack up points when needed. But above all else, he was loyal. Until one night in 2000, everything changed. McSorley was nearing the end of his career, slower, older, maybe more bitter. He was playing for the Bruins now, far from Gretzky, far from Hollywood. His opponent? Donald Brashier, one of the league's toughest men. The two had bad blood. Earlier in the game, Brashier had taunted McSorley, danced around him, and humiliated him in a failed fight. With seconds left in a blowout, McSorley skated toward him, but he didn't drop the gloves. He swung his stick, baseball style, and hit Brashier directly in the head. Brashier collapsed, unconscious before he hit the ice. The league erupted. McSorley wasn't just suspended, he was charged criminally, convicted of assault. The NHL banned him for a year. He never played another game. For fans, it was betrayal in reverse. The loyal enforcer who lived by the code had broken it. Enforcers were supposed to fight with honor, face to face, not swing sticks like weapons. He wasn't remembered as Gretzky's guardian anymore. He was remembered for the cheap shot that ended a career, and his own. John Scott, the meme that mocked the system. John Scott didn't betray fans. He betrayed expectations in the best way possible. At 6 feet 8 inches and 270 pounds, he wasn't supposed to be anything more than a sideshow, a throwback, a fighter in an era that was phasing them out. He was slow. He barely scored. Over 9 years, he had just 5 career goals, but he could punch, and that kept him in the league. Then came 2016. The NHL wanted to clean up the All-Star game, make it faster, younger, more skilled. So fans? They decided to troll the whole system and vote John Scott into the All-Star game, and it worked. He won the fan vote. A joke, right? Just a gag? But then the NHL stepped in. They traded him to Montreal, who sent him down to the AHL. He wasn't even eligible anymore. The league tried to erase him, but Scott doubled down. He wrote a letter. He told his story. He had kids, a family. He was proud of his career, and he wasn't going to let the NHL bury him just because he didn't fit their image. So what did the NHL do? They caved. Scott showed up in Nashville, skated in the All-Star game, and then scored 2 goals. The crowd went wild. Players lifted him in celebration. He was voted MVP. The league handed him a check for $1 million and a giant smile. And then he retired. A mic drop. He didn't need 30 goal seasons. He didn't need awards. Just one moment. And he turned the league's elite event into a working-class legend. He didn't betray anyone. But for the NHL brass, it felt like betrayal. Their polished image had been hijacked by a fighter, but for the fans, it was beautiful. Donald Brashier, feared by everyone, even his own teammates. Donald Brashier wasn't just a fighter, he was a problem. At 6 feet 3 inches, 240 pounds, he threw punches like wrecking balls. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't technical, he just beat you down. And for nearly 2 decades, no one wanted to be on the receiving end. He had over 2,600 penalty minutes, played over 1,000 NHL games, and dropped the gloves with every tough guy of his era. Ty Domi, Bob Probert, McSorley, you name it, he fought them. But Brashier didn't just build a reputation for toughness. He built a reputation for rage. He once cross-checked Buffalo's Eric Daze in the face during a preseason game. No gloves dropped, just violence. Then there was his infamous feud with Rangers enforcer Sandy McCarthy. Racial slurs were allegedly thrown. Bad blood boiled for years. They nearly fought in warm-ups. Brashier thrived on tension. But the moment that defined him, March 2000. Vancouver versus Boston. He squared up with Marty McSorley. Or rather, McSorley squared up with him. The fight didn't happen, so McSorley did the unthinkable. He slashed Brashier in the head with his stick. Brashier collapsed. His helmet flew off. His head hit the ice. He suffered a grade 3 concussion. That one moment changed the NHL forever. New rules, stricter enforcement, stick penalties redefined. And Brashier, he recovered, but his image became twisted. To some, he was a victim. To others, he invited the chaos. Even teammates admitted he could be volatile. He reportedly fought his own goalie in practice. He once threw water bottles and sticks after being benched. Later in his career, he got cut by the Rangers for being a locker room cancer. After his NHL career ended, he drifted into MMA and boxing. Eventually, he hit rock bottom, arrested for drug possession, working at Tim Hortons and selling cars just to stay afloat. For a man who once struck fear across the league, the fall was hard and fast. Brashier didn't just fight his opponents, he fought everyone, teammates, coaches, even himself. Chris Simon, the repeat offender. Chris Simon was terrifying. Long hair, cold stare, and fists like cinder blocks. Over 15 seasons, he racked up over 1,800 penalty minutes and a rap sheet longer than some criminals. But it wasn't just the fights, it was how he fought. He was violent, unpredictable. And he crossed the line. A lot. He played for 7 different teams: Washington, Colorado, Chicago, Calgary, the Rangers, Islanders, Minnesota. And at every stop, he left a mark, often on someone's face. He was suspended 8 times by the NHL. In 2007 alone, he delivered 2 of the most infamous plays in modern hockey. First, Ryan Hallweg. Simon took a hit along the boards, nothing unusual. Then, in a flash of rage, he turned and two-handed slashed Hallweg in the face. Not the legs, not the arms, the face. 25-game suspension. You'd think that would have ended it. But later that same year, he stomped on Jarkko Ruutu's leg with his skate blade. A move that could have ended a career or worse. 30-game suspension. And just like that, his career was radioactive. This wasn't just enforcing, this was criminal. Even fellow tough guys distanced themselves. There's a code in hockey. You fight face to face, you drop the gloves, you don't stomp, you don't slash skulls. Simon didn't just betray teams, he betrayed the code. The one unwritten rule that kept enforcers respected. He was out of the league soon after. No send-off, no tribute, just silence. Matt Cooke, the predator who hid behind the rules. Matt Cooke wasn't your typical enforcer. He didn't drop the gloves often. He didn't rack up heavyweight fight totals. But if you ask fans and players who they feared most in the 2000s, his name always came up. Because Matt Cooke didn't fight you, he hunted you. He was the guy who came out of nowhere, blindsided you, and left you twitching on the ice while he skated away, pretending nothing happened. And he did it over and over again. He nearly ended Mark Savard's career with a blindside headshot that shook the league. No penalty, no suspension. Just Savard lying on the ice, motionless. Then it happened again. Ryan McDonough, Artem Anisimov, Scott Walker, Erik Karlsson, different teams, same hit, same aftermath, stretchers, concussions, outrage. Eventually, the league had to act. He was suspended multiple times. 5 games, 10 games, then finally 17 games after another headshot in 2011. That one included the playoffs. The Penguins, the team he played for, were publicly disgusted. Ray Shero, the GM, called his behavior unacceptable. Even Mario Lemieux, a Hall of Famer and owner, released a statement condemning the kind of play Cooke represented. Cooke claimed he'd change. He even went to behavioral counseling to fix his game, but fans didn't buy it, because by then he wasn't an enforcer. He was a villain, not respected like McGrattan or Orr, hated, feared, and seen as a player who weaponized the gray areas of hockey until it left bodies behind. Shawn Avery, the pest who burned every bridge. Some enforcers dropped gloves. Shawn Avery dropped chaos. He was smaller than most goons, less powerful. But what he lacked in fists, he made up for in mouth. He wasn't just an agitator, he was a specialist in psychological warfare. Avery didn't just play the game, he infected it. He chirped players non-stop, insulted families, made girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, made enemies in every arena. One time, he turned around in front of Martin Brodeur and waved his stick in his face during a power play, literally screening him by taunting him. It was so ridiculous the NHL invented a new rule on the spot, the Avery rule. But his lowest moment? December 2008. In front of reporters, unprompted, he mocked Flames defenseman Dion Phaneuf. Not for his play, but for dating Avery's ex-girlfriend, actress Elisha Cuthbert. He called it sloppy seconds. The NHL suspended him immediately. Not for a hit, not for a fight, but for words. His team, the Dallas Stars, refused to welcome him back. His own teammates told him to stay away. He was toxic, a problem in every locker room. He clashed with coaches, burned bridges, and never knew when to shut up. When he finally retired, no tribute video, no jersey ceremony, just silence. Even now, he's still chirping people online, still chasing controversy. Because for Avery, the game was never about team. It was about attention. And when you're an enforcer with no loyalty and a big mouth, you don't get remembered, you get deleted. Raffi Torres, the human wrecking ball. Raffi Torres had one goal: make opponents afraid to skate with the puck. And for a while, it worked. He was fast, explosive, and when he hit, you felt it. But the problem? His hits weren't just hard, they were illegal. And sometimes they were career-threatening. Torres didn't just flirt with the line, he danced on it. In 2011, he left Brent Seabrook concussed with a vicious blindside shoulder to the head. In 2012, he launched himself into Marian Hossa during a playoff game, the kind of hit that makes your stomach drop, even watching the replay. Hossa was stretchered off. Torres was suspended 25 games. You'd think that would be the end of it. But in 2015, he came back and did it again. This time, he clipped Jakob Silfverberg in the head. The league had seen enough. 41 games, nearly half a season, one of the longest suspensions in NHL history. That was it. No redemption arc, no farewell season, just silence. He never played another NHL game. Torres claimed he wasn't a dirty player, just a hard hitter. But fans, players, even coaches had a different word: reckless. In the world of enforcers, there's a line between playing tough and playing dirty, and Raffi Torres spent his whole career on the wrong side of it. Todd Bertuzzi, the hit that changed everything. Todd Bertuzzi wasn't just an enforcer. He was a power forward with a mean streak. He could fight, he could hit, and he could score. In 2003, he dropped 46 goals, 97 points, and still found time to throw hands. He was the full package, a top-line winger who played like a bottom-line bruiser, and in Vancouver, he was worshipped, big, physical, dominant. The kind of guy you hoped was on your team. But then, it all went dark. March 8th, 2004. The Canucks were playing the Avalanche. Earlier that season, Avs forward Steve Moore had taken out Marcus Naslund, Vancouver's captain, with a controversial hit. No penalty, no suspension. The Canucks wanted revenge, and Bertuzzi delivered it, but not in a fight. He jumped Moore from behind, sucker punching him in the back of the head, then drove him face first into the ice. Moore lay motionless. Broken neck, concussion, career over. The league went silent. Bertuzzi was suspended indefinitely. He missed the rest of the season, 20 games plus the playoffs. And the fallout was nuclear. Lawsuits, criminal charges, media chaos, and one of the ugliest moments in modern hockey history. This wasn't just a bad hit. It was a line crossed forever. He apologized publicly, said he never meant for it to go that far, said he was just trying to stand up for his teammate. But for fans outside Vancouver, that didn't matter. He wasn't a hero anymore. He was a monster. Even after he returned to the NHL, he was never the same. He bounced from team to team. No more top-line minutes, no more dominance. Just a cloud that followed him everywhere. To this day, Steve Moore never played another game, and Todd Bertuzzi, he never outran the consequences of one decision, and one punch, that changed the enforcer role forever. Zack Ronaldo, the guy who just didn't get it. Zack Ronaldo never met a hit he didn't want to finish, no matter how illegal it was. He didn't have the size, he didn't have the skill, but he had one job: make noise, be a wrecking ball, start chaos. And from the minute he stepped into the NHL, that's exactly what he did. But here's the problem: he never evolved. The league changed, headshots got punished, blindside hits were out. But Ronaldo, he kept skating like it was 1994. Late hits, dirty hits, knee on knees, charging, hitting guys who didn't even have the puck. Suspension after suspension, 7 in total, fines, criticism, 0 growth. One time, he checked a player from behind, got ejected, and then bragged about it after the game. He literally said, "I changed the game with one hit. I'm proud of myself." The league wasn't. He was suspended 8 games. That wasn't enforcing, that was delusion. He had brief stints with Philly, Boston, Arizona, Nashville, and Calgary. Every time, it was the same story. He'd play a few shifts, throw a reckless hit, get suspended, and ride the press box. He wasn't feared. He wasn't respected. He was a liability with skates. Eventually, even the toughest teams moved on. Because being tough, it doesn't mean being dumb, and Ronaldo never seemed to understand the difference. He didn't protect teammates. He endangered them. And in a league moving towards speed and skill, there's no room for a guy who thinks a highlight reel hit is worth a highlight reel lawsuit. Ty Domi, the last of the street soldiers. Ty Domi wasn't just an enforcer, he was a celebrity. In Toronto, he was larger than life, listed at 5'10" but built like a tank. He fought everyone: Praber, Larac, McSorley, and loved every second of it. Fans adored him, coaches relied on him, and teammates trusted him with their lives. But Domi was also reckless, arrogant, and sometimes dangerous. He holds the record for the most penalty minutes in Maple Leafs history, over 3,500 in his career, and he earned every one. He once sucker punched Ulf Samuelsson and knocked him out cold. No warning, no square up. Just a surprise left hook to the jaw. He got suspended 8 games. Another time, he squirted water at a heckling fan in Philadelphia, which led to that fan falling into the penalty box with him. Domi didn't back down. He squared up, even with the glass broken and security scrambling. His explanation? If you're going to chirp, you better be ready. But it wasn't all violence. Domi loved the spotlight. Commercials, talk shows, celebrity appearances. He signed autographs like a star player and ran the city like a mayor. Problem was, he started to believe the hype. Toward the end of his career, his ego grew bigger than his fists. He refused to fight new enforcers, took lazy penalties, pouted when benched. And eventually, the Leafs moved on. He retired quietly. No farewell tour, no send-off game. Because while fans respected his heart, the league had moved on. The enforcer era was fading, and even the toughest guys couldn't fight off time. Georges Larac, the gentleman assassin. Georges Larac might be the most feared enforcer who never actually hated his opponents. At 6 feet 3 inches, 260 pounds, he was built like a superhero, and he fought like one. But he didn't chirp, he didn't cheap shot, he didn't stomp or slash. He just looked you in the eye and asked, "Wanna go?" And most of the time, the answer was no. Because once the gloves dropped, Larac ended you. No wild punches, no dirty tricks. Just raw power, clean technique, and absolute dominance. He destroyed heavyweights, Probert, McGrattan, Bugard, and never once celebrated. Never raised a fist after, never taunted the bench. He called it respect, old school warrior code. But the league didn't care about respect. They cared about speed and skill. By 2010, the game was changing fast. Larac was signed by the Montreal Canadiens, the team he dreamed of playing for as a kid. But the team didn't want him to fight anymore. They wanted him to score. He didn't. In 61 games, he had just 1 goal. They cut him mid-season, not for discipline, not for violence, just irrelevance. He was one of the cleanest enforcers in league history, and still got erased. He retired quietly. No send-off, no tribute. Just another tough guy discarded by a league that had moved on. To this day, Larac defends his role, says fighting protected players, says he kept things safer, and ironically, he might be right. But right or wrong doesn't matter when the game leaves you behind.